Okay. Make sure we're live over here on YouTube as well.
Okay. Yeah, because it's saying we live over here.
Yes. Let me see. Yes. And we are live. Welcome.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Welcome to the Discovery Within podcast where we explore the. Uh oh.
What happened?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, my Wi Fi was just messing up. Okay. Welcome to the Discovery Within podcast where we explore the depths of self discovery and personal growth. I'm Coach T, your self discovery coach and life insurance professional, and I help single mothers to thrive through self discovery, balance, and securing their future.
And and I'm over here sleeping. No, I'm just kidding. I am I'm LJ the Peacemaker, your co-host, and we're going together on this journey of transformation. And on this podcast, we're going to dive into really utilizing our mindset and taking our lives to the next level. I specialize in helping Black men to overcome self worth issues so that they can become the hero of their story.
Yes, yes. And let's uncover the role that mindset plays in your personal growth and development. So we're gonna dive right in. You ready?
I'm ready. Yes. Even if I don't feel ready, we know how that goes, right? It's just about diving in.
Yes, yes. Okay, so let's get into the power of mindset. Now, LJ, I know you often talk about the power of a positive mindset. So, how can having a positive mindset benefit someone who's just starting out on their to explore their personal growth journey?
I mean, mindset, in my opinion, is the key to everything. And especially when we're starting out, our circumstances don't magically just change, you know? So it becomes clear if I'm still feeling like I'm stuck in the same old place, in order to get out, I got to start thinking new things, dreaming new dreams, and really just allowing my mind and my imagination to take me somewhere else so that I begin to reach and strive for that. So unless we start making those mindset shifts, we won't be able to see a way out.
Absolutely. And I can definitely agree with the whole mindset thing because everything starts with your mind. You get your mind right, you change what's going on up here, then your actions will, they will follow as well. So I definitely agree
Absolutely.
with that.
Now, Coach T, you share insights on self discovery and a lot of financial tips. Someone who's just beginning on this journey may not see how those are connected. So, can you share with us how they're intersect in this journey?
Yes, see, that's a good question because I asked myself that because I even speak on my own journey because I started out in the financial industry. That wasn't the career path that I wanted to choose for myself originally because I was in healthcare. I was a certified nursing assistant for 6 years and I also went to nursing school. So that's the career path that I thought I was going down, nothing else. But once I had dropped out of college, I wanted to explore entrepreneurship. I just didn't know which way to go and what career path should I choose. So once I got into the financial industry, I did that first, and that's why I first started my journey with the finances. The life coaching came along after me being in the financial services, and so I sat there and I wondered like how would the two intersect, but I was like having that experience in the industry with the different mentors and stuff, I saw that these people were actually coaches as well because they were helping me to personally develop with not only just my finances, but with my mindset and all these types of things. So when you think of like life coaching or self discovery coaching, you got to put into perspective that you're helping this person to know what their aspirations are, helping them to identify their values and the different goals that they want to achieve. So that's a form of coaching where you're helping them personally. But me, I take a holistic approach. I'm not gonna just help you in one area. What I help you with is all encompassing. We're talking mental, we're talking spiritual, physical, financial, all of that. So with the life coaching, you're helping them to figure out their own personal goals. And it's the same thing with your financial goals, because your financial goals essentially line up with the personal goals that you have for yourself. So, like for instance, with me working with the single mothers, whether the mother has, short term goals for herself or for her children, those goals can align up, with their finances, and you can just tie both of those together. So they really go hand in hand.
Absolutely. I mean, I personally see a huge intersection between the two because ultimately our financial state is a reflection of our mindset, of the strategies that we're utilizing. So it's really about the person believing for more and learning more so they can improve in both of those areas. So that's truly amazing. I think that's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's transition a little bit. So I know on your coaching journey, you like, how does having the right mindset help beginners to stay strong, when life gets tough? Because, we go through the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows. How does having the right mindset help someone that's just beginning this journey?
Well, I mean, so much of what I do is based around like biblical principles, so a lot of it is coming directly from the word of God. I'm not just making it up. And I mean, scripture tells us that all things are possible. And so a lot of times we find ourselves in these situations that we're unhappy with. And so if all things are possible, then why are we stuck in a mess? You know what I mean? And so it's for us to acknowledge that there must be a way out of the mess if all things are possible. And that really just comes from us reframing our thinking. And so another scripture additionally says to be not conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. So to me, that says that all transformation comes from this renewed way of thinking, this change of perspective, us really deciding that there is more out there and seeking it so that we can find it. So the mindset piece additionally is extremely empowering because life sometimes beats us down so much where we feel powerless against it. And so, with us acknowledging that it really has to do with our mindset, it allows us to always be in this position of power. We can always make some changes. We can always start thinking differently, which will lead to us acting differently and which will lead to different results. So, the power is in us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I like to call us limitless beings. Once you see past your limitations, that's that changing of that mindset. That's when you're able to surpass, and you don't even look at the tough situations as an obstacle. You look at it as something that's going to help grow you into stretch your mind. So,
That's right. Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Everything's useful. So, Coach T, you mentioned that, on your journey, you've worked with mentors and, really received guidance in both the financial sector and with like your self-discovery coaching. So, can you explain the significance of mentors and coaching in helping not only you to succeed, but in helping others? Because I know when I started out on my journey, the environments I come from, coaching and mentoring was not a thing. Like I didn't know that to get to the next level you need a mentor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like now we know that that's really really important, that we need that support. But so can you explain to us how that really impacted you and the significance to others who are really just starting out?
Yes, it is very crucial. And I always like to use like the examples of my own journey because, like I said, when I got into the financial industry, I didn't have any type of experience in it. So it's like me stepping into the unknown, and I'm just looking around like, okay, this is new for me. I'm gonna need guidance. But in that industry, they have mentors, people who have already gone before you and done the things, and started out the same way that you started out. So I had mentors who took me under their wings, and they showed me the way. They helped me to, get comfortable and, learn the industries and stuff. They trained me so that I'd be able to train others. Because initially when I got in it, I was just getting that industry just to, make some extra money. But I once I began to get around those mentors, they helped me to, see myself and learn things about myself. So I began to, stretch my mind and just see beyond my own limitations. And so what came with that is I realized that I had stepped into a leadership role. And with stepping into a leadership role, you have all these other people who are going to have to follow you as well. So I if I hadn't had the mentors, I wouldn't have had the know-how of how to go about doing certain things. So it's always good to have someone that's either been on that same path as you that could help you to like guide you, to help you find yourself and to help you grow so that you're able to, kind of like navigate through that unknown. So, and those mentors, not only that, they're there for that guidance and that support, but they're here there to hold you accountable to yourself and the goals and aspirations that you have for yourself. And in turn, you just pick up so much just from having that coaching and that guidance because the work is still on you. But when you have those mentors right there helping you along the way, they're there to hold you accountable and they're there to help you to step outside of your comfort zone. So it's always good to have a mentor or a coach to help you to, navigate the areas where you really don't have direction in. So very significant. So you're not out
Absolutely.
here alone.
Right. I mean, it's critical for us not to be out here alone because in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill speaks about the concept of the mastermind, where it's like two or more gathered in harmony for like a single objective. And within that, it's like you begin to absorb the energy of those around you. So it's like you want to be more successful, you got to be around more successful people, and you start
Yeah.
picking up their habits, noticing certain things, start feeling a certain way. And it's almost like they're raising you up to a higher standard, even though it's you doing it. You got to put yourself in the environments, but it's like you start absorbing their energy.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I know you speak a lot about connecting with, your divine truth. So how does having a mindset focused on spiritual connection contribute to the well-being for the newcomers to this concept of self-discovery?
I mean, ultimately, I believe that we are spirit beings having a physical experience. So the spirit is the truth of us. And until we're able to accept that, then we're in some sort of delusion or illusion or non acceptance of the truth, which is
Hmm.
ultimately the lie. You know what I mean? So it's like it's one or the other. Either we step into the truth or we're doing harm to ourselves in some way or other. But ultimately, it really comes back to this empowerment stance, because with acknowledging that like we are spirit and that the divine is within us, it allows us to acknowledge that there's always a means of us overcoming. What is in us is stronger than the external factors. You know, the material world was created by ideas, by us going out and making things happen, but ultimately that began from within. It began from our imagination. It began with someone having an idea, someone making a plan. So, you know, the acknowledgement of this is an inner journey, a journey of self-discovery, the journey within. And it's like as we go in, then it's necessary for us to align with the ultimate truth that we are spirit beings and that we are greater than any outside circumstance. So with that, it just allows us to stand up a little taller, to feel a little better, you know, because a lot of times we don't feel good. Life experiences
Hmm.
make us feel bad about ourselves, make us feel like something's wrong with us. And to know that you are one with the divine, that means you're fabulous.
And that's great, especially for someone who hasn't actually gotten to this point on their journey, because it's a divine place to be in, knowing that you come from the divine, and on this journey with knowing yourself, that better helps you to navigate on this journey, which is knowing and going within, because sometimes we like to see things externally to find the answers, but if we come from the divine, then know that the answers are within you. So that just
Absolutely.
shows you your power, and connecting with that really helps you on your journey.
Absolutely. And I just want to add one more point to what you just said. It's like really knowing that the answers are within you. it allows us to actually find the answers. Because when we tend to believe the answers are outside of ourselves, it always leads to disappointment, because whatever it is that we're placing our hope and faith on cannot sustain us. So ultimately, we're setting ourselves up for some sort of letdown. And depending on how much we're believing in that person or that thing, that really is going to determine how hard the letdown is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, now we're moving along. um, so we set out on these journeys to make changes and, to discover ourselves, and we all have different reasons of what initiates us on our personal journeys. And so it we've heard of the big why. Like, we have to come to a place of knowing, why are we doing this? And if our motives aren't strong enough, then a lot of times we're likely to quit, because people set goals, they set intentions, and they don't have a strong enough motivation, and that's part of why it doesn't last. But so, Coach T, what advice would you give to someone who's newly embarking on this journey about the necessity for setting a clear and strong intention for why they're choosing to follow a new path?
Yes, that's a big one. And I didn't even know the importance of knowing your why until I started, entrepreneurship. My mentors taught me, they asked me, so what is your why? I'm like, to make money. And they would laugh and stuff like, I'm
Yeah,
like,
we all start there.
you need to make money. But I was like, no, your why has to be bigger than that. Because they used to say things like, if your why doesn't make you cry, then you scratch that. But the importance of knowing your why, it'll help you to know your motivations for why you're going down a certain path. Like, what are your aspirations? What is your reason? What is your purpose? Because you have to know that what your intent is when you choose to make certain decisions or go down a certain path. And getting clear on that will help you to stay in the game when the going gets tough. So, like, for instance, if for me, I could say, I did entrepreneurship because I knew that I wanted to pay my own way. I knew I was designed to go against the grain. And I wanted to, I didn't want to be limited in what I did. So knowing that your why and your aspiration, that'll give you those drives on those days where you just feel like, I just don't see the purpose in it. You always have to know what your intentions are behind it, because that is what's going to keep you on the path that you set out for. So just getting clear on that and waking up having that intention every day for when you're doing it, because they're going to be, they're going to be the highs and lows, the ebbs and flows. But when you're clear, you're crystal clear on what it is that you want to do and why you're doing it, nothing will stop you from doing what it is that you need to do to stay on the straight and narrow. So that's what I would
Absolutely.
say.
Absolutely. I mean, that's very powerful what you shared. I know also, like, getting clear on that why helps you to really look at the consequence of if you don't. Like, what's gonna happen in 5 years from now or 10 years from now? What's it gonna look like? What position are your children gonna be in if you don't do this right now, if you don't make this change? And it's like, unless we really start to examine that why, then we don't know why. We think it's just for money or just for something so simple. So that's extremely powerful.
Yeah. And I can even add to that, like, just like with personal stories with clients and stuff, because I have mothers that may come to me and say, oh, I want to save money. I'm not that good with saving and I don't trust myself. And I'm like, well, first and foremost, you got to get clear on why it is that you want to save. And so some others may say, well, I want to be able to get this car for my son, or I want to save for my future for retirement. I'm like, well, there's your why right there, because something that I noticed is that some people have an issue with, trusting themselves with their own money. So I said, you have your why. You know that you want to make sure that your child is straight, whether it be for their future or maybe it is something short term. Knowing your why will help you to prevent from taking the wrong actions, because some people may be impulsive spenders. But that mother that knows that I'm saving up this money for my child's well-being, or to, you know, get something for my child, you have your why. So every time your mind deviates or you're about to make an action that doesn't align with your why, that having that why in your mind will keep you on track to sticking to what you said that you were going to do. So
Absolutely.
that's major.
Yes,
But
no,
we'll
that's extremely important.
yes, yes, yes. So I want to transition a bit and cover limiting beliefs a little bit. So with breaking through beliefs that hold us back, and that can be tough for a lot of people. And I even still struggle with limiting beliefs. It's a journey. So, what simple tips would you have for the beginners to shift their thinking so that they can overcome those barriers?
Well, I mean that's an incredible question. It excites me actually because I love using the imagination to really just see beyond these limits. Um but so one of the things that really helped me in the beginning of my journey was this concept that I call overstanding. And ultimately it was like looking at the aspects of my life that I was unhappy with and then really taking the time to flip it over. Like if I this is making me unhappy, then I would tell myself, okay, this is now making me happy. What does that look like? And sit down and begin to really imagine what does it look like if like because I was in a state of very poor health. So it's like this is I'm near death. I don't want to be here. This is terrible. How do I get to a better place, especially when doctors are telling me that you're not going to get any better. In fact, you're probably going to get worse. And so, I knew that that's not what God said. God said all things are possible. And so, as I began to really reframe my relationship to health and to the illness, I decided, okay, I want to be healthy. And so I had to get clear on what does that mean? What does that mean to me? What does that look like? And so I really began to just use my imagination, devote time to writing it out. Being healthy to me means being able to run as fast as I can and chase my son. It means me being able to get up early and by 5 o'clock, I don't feel like doom. You know what I mean? I have the energy to carry through the day, carry out my tasks. It means that I'm able to be happy because I'm not in agonizing pain. It means when someone's talking to me, I can pay attention to them because I'm not in pain. And so the initial step is really about deciding, not even deciding, exploring what it looks like, what you're saying you want, what does that look like? Because I mean, even like you mentioned before, about why our whys, we say, oh, well, we want money. It's like, what does that mean? What does it look like? Because different things mean different things to different people. And so, the initial step that I would really recommend is to address the area that is causing you the most stress and strain, and then tell yourself, okay, the opposite of that is this. Identify what the opposite is, and then really take some time to start defining what that looks like. In your imagination, there are no limits. So you can explore any possibility, whether or not you believe it's possible or not. But in your imagination, on a sheet of paper, you have free reign. You are the master of that. So really take advantage of it and begin to explore it. And as we do that, it starts to create this awareness in those areas. Then we
Hmm.
start thinking about things differently. Then we start establishing a slightly different relationship, like for me, to my health. It was like, oh, now I'm starting to picture these things. And, as we start to explore what it looks like, and then we revisit it on a consistent basis, like I wrote down my vision and then I daily would look at it and daily give it a few minutes. And it really, over time, begins to shift your reality and start making you see the potential that exists all around you.
Yes, and I think that's the beautiful thing about this journey is that when you do that introspection and you sit back and then you reflect and just become more aware of your thoughts and those limited beliefs, that's like a chance for you to just go within and use your imaginations instead of looking at it from that viewpoint that you've always looked at it from that limited lens. Like you said, you use your imagination and do that. What would it look like if it was like this instead of that? The same old thinking pattern that you once had. So that's definitely beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the power is within us, and it's about that discovery within, going in. What do you really think? You know, a lot of times the things that we think are placed on us by society, by our upbringing, so they're not really original thought. We didn't come to that of our own
Yeah.
accord. We were just told that's how it goes. And, you know, it can go another way if we really want it to be.
And
Now,
that's the point.
we're talking about thinking, using your imagination, which all of that's great. There's a time for planning and goal setting and thinking. But as we know, I know you've experienced and I've absolutely experienced that we come to a point where we're thinking too much. It's like, all right, it's time to stop all that thinking and go do some doing, you know? So sometimes we get stuck in that planning part and we overthink. So, can you describe some of the steps that you've taken in the initial phases of your journey to really overcome this overthinking?
Yes, now overthinking, that's a huge one for me, and even to this day, because it is a journey. That but it is something that you can overcome. But it takes time, but you have to understand that it's a journey. So the first steps for me was I learned how to be patient with myself, and I learned how to give myself self compassion, because when you're overthinking, it's just like you get so frustrated. So I started becoming more aware of how I felt. So I knew that when I was frustrated at something, that means that I was in my overthinking state. So what I did was I started becoming aware of my thoughts in that moment, and I would just observe the thoughts that I was having without any judgment. So that's where that self compassion came in. And then with that, I started to challenge those thoughts, the overthinking thoughts, and like, where's this coming from? Like, and you got to ask yourself, is this true, or is this just a belief? Because a belief is just a recurrent thought that you keep doing repeatedly, and it doesn't mean that it's truth. It's just a belief. And then I came to that realization, and I had to come to the realization of what overthinking is. It's really just a fear of something. It's a fear that that's is really not true. And I started to do mindful practices. Me, I'm big on meditation. So when I'm in those moments where I'm overthinking something, I know that that is very unproductive and counterproductive to what I'm trying to accomplish. So I allow myself sometimes to just get alone. I'll go outside. I'll just sit there in nature because I love to go outside. I love the animals, love to hear the birds chirping and all of that. So that's like music to my ears. So I take a pause when I have those moments, and I either go outside, get me some fresh air. I meditate outside, or I'll meditate in a quiet space that I create for myself. But when you're overthinking, you have to give yourself that time to allow your mind to just seize. Like, that's a moment for you to not think. And it's a daily practice that I do, because on some days you may overthink. So I started, meditating daily. I carve out time, whether it's just like 15 minutes, 10 minutes. I'll get it in some way, somehow. And then I do that, and it just helps me to, calm my mind. Now, you're still going to have those moments where, like during your meditation, where thoughts may pop up, but you can always bring yourself back to the present moment and just center yourself. And so anytime I'm meditating and my mind gets to jumping and thinking about something, I just tell myself, here, here, and then I'll come back to the present moment. And then also with overthinking, I practice breath work. So I'm big on, taking a deep breath, inhaling, exhaling, because that always helps me to center myself. So I'd say the steps for me was just taking those mindful practices and stuff, and really just observing your thoughts without judgment, giving yourself, showing yourself self compassion, and knowing that these thoughts are always something they're just passing, and it's not necessarily something that's true, but you have to go within and know that for yourself, but with practice, because it's going to take daily practice, and get accept the fact that overthinking and making mistakes and stuff, it's inevitable because sometimes, we just think that we have to be perfect with something, or you got to do this, you got to do that, and that breeds and all that self-doubt and all those doubt, and it just clouds your judgment, and it prevents you from taking the proper action instead of just saying, what, it is what it is. These thoughts, I'm not listening to none of them. I'm just gonna jump out there. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna quiet my mind. And another thing that really helped me, because I liked a lot, I watched spiritual teachers. It was this one spiritual teacher, where he described like a car accident scene. You have a car, like a 5-car pileup. There's this one person standing here who's not even in, who didn't get into the car accident. They was just there to witness it. But you got all the people that was in the accident. They're over there arguing and going at each other, while the person that wasn't in it, they're just sitting back and they're not being a part of the crime scene. That's how you have to treat your thoughts. They
Mm.
may go, you may overthink, but it's like, just sit there, just observe them, but don't participate in it.
Right.
So that's something that really helped me on this journey with
No,
overthinking.
that's extremely powerful. I mean, because what it's saying to me is really about stillness. Being able to be still, because sometimes our minds are racing a mile a minute, but that doesn't mean we have to take action on those thoughts. That doesn't
Yeah,
mean, back to what you were saying, that they're true. And what I've come to learn is that, like, overthinking is a form of anxiety because it's not peace, so it's anxious. And
chaotic.
so, yeah, yes. And so the meditation piece is critical, because it's like, when you start feeling like that, that means you need to stop whatever you're doing and go sit somewhere. Like, go be still, go take some breaths, go do a meditation practice, whether it be alone, guided. Like, that's a clear indication that from this point, if you take action from that feeling, it's not going to go well.
It's not, and you have to give yourself that, allow yourself that space to drop everything. And I
Yes,
know that that may sound counterproductive to a word that tells you no, you need to keep going, you need to keep going. If you're not in the right mindset and energy, there's no need. You're not
absolutely.
going to take the proper action. So yes, just giving myself that space to do so, and I would encourage others to do it as well. So even with mindset and these, these changes with our thoughts and stuff, changing how we think, often leads to those big changes that we want to see. Could you share a story where your mindset shift led to something great for a beginner in their personal journey?
Well, I mean, I came from a place of very low image of self. I don't want to say low self-esteem, because people would never have described me like that. I seemed confident because I've always believed in my ability to get done the task at hand. So,
Mm-hmm.
say, something broke, I know it needs to be fixed. So I'm gonna make sure whatever needs to get done needs to get done. If I gotta walk
Right.
50 miles because my kids need something, I'm gonna do it. And there's no doubt in my mind as to whether I'm capable. But with regards to living out my purpose, fulfilling my dreams, dreaming bigger than anything I've ever seen, I really didn't believe that I was worthy of that. And
Mm-hmm.
it took me really beginning to decide that I was so unhappy with my present circumstance that I was going to reach for something higher. And so with that, I really started to just absorb new information. I decided, okay, I got to start doing all these radical different things. So at first, one of the first things I decided to do was I started going to see a therapist. And it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
because I thought I needed therapy. It was because I used to always say, I'm not going to no therapist. I'm not crazy. And I'm like, if that thinking got you here, then you need to shake it up. Go do some wild stuff you never done before. And for me, a wild, radical thing I never did before was going to a therapist. And so that was so helpful and so beneficial for me, because it was one of the first places I started showing up. I started showing up as me, saying what I really think, what I really feel, what I really want. And other than that, it was always like this facade. I was pretending to be strong not necessarily pretending, just going through the motions of life because I had to be strong, but feeling so weak and feeling so broken. And so, I really would advise a beginner to start getting radical. And that doesn't mean you go do something so outlandish and so extreme, but it means start doing things you've never done before, because everything you've done has led you to where you are. And if you don't like it, then you got to start doing some new things. So try some new things, go around some new people, obtain some new information, and decide what that looks like for you. But don't be afraid to get radical, because you have to get radical. You got to shake some things loose.
That's
Now,
right.
did that answer your question? Because I'm like, I started going off on a tangent, and I'm like, wait, did I even address the question?
Yes, yes, and I wanted to add to that because it made me think of that saying they say just get rid of your stinking thinking, because
Yes,
we have all these thoughts and stuff, and we can sit up here, we can complain about them, and we keep on having them constantly, but it's like, okay, how is that working out for you?
right, right,
And
right,
just knowing just to challenge those thoughts, and like you said, doing something radical. Because if you're gonna keep doing that same old stinking thinking, then it's not gonna lead to the changes that you want, because you're not going within to observe those thoughts that you're having. So you have
right.
to, do something different. Like you're always gonna have to do something different to get something different.
Absolutely.
You always
Absolutely.
check your
And
thinking.
it's like really about us being willing to like step out of our comfort zone, and when we do that and step into the beyond, the unknown, we don't know what exists there. Like, you don't know what you don't know. So a lot of times I work with clients and they'll say, well, I could either do this or this. And I'm like, who said those were the only two options? You know what I mean? There's these infinite possibilities. And as
Yeah.
we're willing to just do something that's completely radical for us, we almost step into like this whole new dimension of more things we didn't know, because now you've opened the door to the unknown, and in the unknown are unlimited possibilities. So it's like you don't know what's going to come of that, what magic is going to happen just because you took that initial leap.
Yes, it's just like you said, the magic of you gotta have fun. Because like you said, infinite possibilities. You're a limitless being. So don't be limited by your own limited thinking or what has been imposed upon you. You got to stretch it and know that you're limitless. But it's up to you.
Absolutely. 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 I mean, so we've got so much to say about all of this because we're on this journey, and I mean, we
Yes,
help others on their journey. But we know that the journey is not all fun and games. We know that there are some challenges that we
whew.
encounter, and I mean, the initial step of making the decision to change is the first step. And sometimes that in and of itself is the challenge. But as we start making these changes and we begin to encounter this internal resistance, that limited thinking that we're talking about, what is some of the mind chatter that you've encountered for yourself that you would forewarn other people beginning this journey about? Because there's certain things it comes up for all of us.
And the garden of light is within says yes, she was agreeing with you because it is not all roses. But yes, to answer your question, those the mind chatter that comes up, that self doubt, the imposter syndrome, all of that. Thoughts like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I don't have this title, or I don't make enough money. It's like all those things would come up when it was time for me to step up or do something different. And those thoughts, they probably won't ever stop coming.
I
They
agree.
won't ever stop coming, but know that those types of thoughts are coming. So what you do is you just accept those thoughts, but not accept them in a way it's like, oh, I'm accepting it. This is what I am. Those thoughts are true. Accept it in the fashion that these thoughts come up, but I'm gonna challenge these thoughts. So it wasn't until I started challenging those self doubts, and I'm big on positive self talk. So I started being more mindful of the talk that, I was giving myself. So, like for instance, it'd be a thought like, "Oh, I'm not good enough for this," or I don't have this title," and I switched that type of thinking and those thoughts to, "You can do this. You're built for this." So it's always when
I
you
love
have
that.
those that chatter in your brain because they're not true. But you have to know that they're not true. And you just challenge those thoughts. All the mind chatter, you challenge it every time. But it's like you're challenging yourself, but your old self, that you're challenging what you're not by having that positive self-talk. So it's like a daily practice. It's every day that you have to constantly be aware of where your thinking is going. And so then that's what I do. I always have positive self-talk. And when you become more aware of, the thoughts that you're having, especially when changes come about, because you're going to reach different stages in your life, and change comes to help you to progress and move you outside your comfort zone. And that comfort zone, it can be very tempting to stay in, but if you're on a journey to discover who you are, you won't discover it staying in the same place. You're
Right.
gonna have to, discover some uncharted territory. You're gonna have to do something different, but you push yourself and just jumping out there when you challenge those thoughts. Like you have those fear-based thoughts, but do it anyway. Go do it scared. And then
Right.
I think we was having a conversation about that the other day, and when you were just saying like just go for it, because sometimes we can sit up there and we can try to be perfect and try to plan things out, or I don't have this in place, I don't have that place. Those are the other mind chatter and the blockages that are holding you back from progressing. Instead of just holding on to what was, change that and be like, you know what? I might be a little scared. I might not have it all together. I'm gonna roll my sleeves up and I'm gonna get out here. And I may fail, but
Right.
I'm gonna
Right.
fail forward. It doesn't matter if you get out there in the mud, you fall, you fail forward, and
Absolutely.
that's the important thing. So just shifting your mindset and how you view change. Know that change is a necessary part of your self discovery journey, because you won't discover who you are without change. You're gonna have different seasons that you go through in life, but you got to honestly just be aware and accept those changes and flow with them,
Right.
because it's going to help you to lead you to discovering who you truly are. So I say that comfort zone, just challenge it and fail forward, because we're striving for progression, and know that you're
Uh,
not going to do everything
yeah.
perfect. That doesn't matter. You have to be okay with accepting that you're going to make some mistakes, and that is okay. Accept it, embrace every part of your life,
Right.
all of it. Fail forward. So
Absolutely.
that's what I would say.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely. And I mean, just to add to that, I think that a big part of it, because like you said, that self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, that's just part of the human mind. Like that ultimately is normal. So you're going to consistently experience that when you're attempting something new or moving to a new level, because it's unknown. You don't know what's beyond where you are. So it's always going to feel uncomfortable, always going to feel a little awkward. And it's definitely about changing our relationship to that change, changing our relationship to discomfort, changing our relationship to how we confront our own fears. And I think a lot of that stems from us really establishing this deep degree of commitment to ourselves. Like, I'm committed to fulfilling what I say I want, and nothing's going to stop me. And that's one of the things that I repeat to myself every day. I say, what's going to stop me? Nothing. Every day I ask myself, what's going to stop me? Nothing. And so it's like when I first began this journey, it seemed like, how, oh, well, look at all these obstacles, something could stop you. But then the further I went, the clearer it became that if I'm getting up every day and putting one foot in front of the other because I'm committed, then nothing can stop me from putting the one foot in front of the other. That doesn't mean everything's going to feel great. That doesn't mean everything's going to work out perfectly. That doesn't mean I'm not scared as hell. That doesn't mean it's comfortable. But if I'm that committed to myself, then nothing can stop me from putting this one foot in front of the other. And so it's for us to be that committed to what we really want. Be committed to our own personal growth. This is our one and only life, and we deserve to have what we say we want. And so when we're that committed, then we're not going to let fear stop us. We're gonna, maybe we might linger a little bit, like we should have did it today, but you know what, I'm a little too scared, but I'm gonna make sure tomorrow I do it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've experienced.
Oh, what happened? She went out.
Oh, am I still there? Okay, I
No, you're back.
apologize.
You're good.
So like I set a target, and some days I just don't feel like, I'm like, I don't know if I could do this today. I don't know. And sometimes that means that maybe I'm not meant to do it today, but I'm definitely gonna do it tomorrow. Like I'm not going to not achieve the thing. And that too is another degree of commitment to ourselves, because it's not for me to force myself in ways that are detrimental. You know what I mean? So it's like we got to acknowledge that part too. Like if I'm absolutely terrified, then maybe I got to work my way up to there. However, I still need to be taking the consistent steps towards it, not just throwing in the towel like that's too scary and I'm never going to do it. You know?
Yeah. And just knowing, like you said, it may be extremely scary, but those small steps you can break it down into small
Yes,
actionable steps. It doesn't
exactly.
have to be one big leap.
Right.
Pace yourself. You got to crawl before you walk. Just think about it.
Yes,
When a child is getting ready to walk, they try and they try. They may fall and stumble, but it's the steps they keep at it daily, and then they
yeah,
progress. And that's how you have to view life. Like, treat yourself like a child. Baby steps. They'll get you.
exactly.
They'll get you a long way.
That's for sure. And I mean, like you said, treat yourself like a child, because we all a child of God. So-
Yes, absolutely.
oh
Yes.
man. Well, we've said so much. This has really been an amazing time. Just going through some of our own personal experiences on this journey, because I
Yeah.
know, like, especially in the coaching world, it's like you got to be the expert. And I don't want to be the expert. I'm a person living this life alongside everybody else. Like we all are going through these experiences and ultimately dealing with the same thing.
Absolutely. And my favorite saying is every coach needs a coach.
I like that. That's very true.
Yes, it
All
is.
right. Well, I mean, what are we at? 48 minutes. So we
Yeah.
still got a little bit more time. Um, so I know, like, we were really excited about forming this podcast, and like
Mhm.
um just sharing our ideas, sharing some skills, and really just welcoming people to absorb some of this journey that we're on ourselves. But so let's talk a little bit about how we just jumped right in, if you want to.
That's what I'm saying. Everything, it all aligns because yes, we're coaches, but we're on this journey as well. We're not perfect, but we took that action. Just like with
Yeah.
the podcast. I had no knowledge that I'd be doing a podcast. We just went for it.
Yes.
And me, I'm a recovering perfectionist. So
Likewise.
I'm a
Likewise.
recovering perfectionist because I'm the type I have to cross all my T's and dot all my I's, and everything has to be aligned. I gotta have this in place. I gotta have that in place. But I'm learning to just do it, man. Like Nike, like just do it,
Yes.
and you realize just how much powerful you feel and how confident you feel to get out there, and even if you fail and even if you embarrass yourself, you had the courage. And that's all
Yeah.
I care about. Having the courage and the confidence to actually do it. Because I'll get out there, I'll fail, I may stutter. It doesn't matter. But when you do those actions, you'll be more proud of yourself. You
Absolutely.
really, and then like once you're on this journey of self-discovery, you're at that's when you take those actions, you're really showing yourself who you truly are. And
Yes.
now you see who you weren't. Because that's
Right.
essentially what we're doing. So
Yes.
that's yes, that's major.
Yes, that is definitely that's amazing what you said about like the courage piece. Having that courage to really show up for you, because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's really for you yourself. It's for us, you know, we show up and it's for us. And oftentimes we think that it's for somebody else. Oh, I have to do this because my kids, or I have to do that because of this or that. And it's like ultimately it's for you to feel fulfilled, to feel whole, to live your purpose, and to do what is inside you, because we all
Mhm.
have a purpose, we all have something that we were born to fulfill. And unless we're living out that path and walking it out, we don't feel fulfilled, we don't feel complete, and there's always this lingering discontentment. So it's like when we have the courage to step out, to try the thing, to just go for it and dive in head first, that's ultimately us taking
You went out. She went out again. Let's see if she'll come back in. Let's see. You there, LJ? Okay, she went out for a second. But to the people who are just starting out on their journey, I would definitely say if you're feeling like you're unfulfilled and you just don't really have that direction of where you want to go, that is you're in a divine moment because that's a moment for you to start your journey to discovering just who you truly are. And you start by just
I don't know. My internet just went wacky. I apologize for that.
you
Um.
good. Did you want to finish what you were saying? I had kept it going.
Oh, well, thank you. I figure you would do that. I mean, I know you got it. But so ultimately, really about taking those steps because they're for you to fulfill your purpose, for you to feel fulfilled, for you to truly be happy in this life. And if we don't take the steps in those directions, then we won't get to that place. And ultimately, everything is just practice, and
Yeah,
it's like, if we don't practice, we'll never get better. We think that we could plan our way to greatness. And it's like, kind of, but not really. You can
yeah,
make the plan, but if you don't start doing, then you're never practicing the thing. And ultimately, you can never foresee what is really necessary until you start the doing process. You know what I mean? We may think we know what it takes to run a podcast, but until we started doing it, it was like, oh, look, we got to make sure this is in place. I didn't even think of that. And there's all these unforeseen aspects. So it's like just go out there and do it. Try it.
yeah. I wanted to add to like that fulfillment part because there are some that aren't on this journey just yet, and they're just feeling like they're unfulfilled and they don't know which direction to turn. And I'm like, you may feel like you're stuck, but you're in a divine moment
Amen.
because that is that moment for you to actually dive into who you are, to learn yourself on a deeper level outside of just your interests and your day-to-day roles because we can get so caught up into society and how we should be showing up and what we should be doing, but it's like you can't count on the world to tell you who you are. You're here for you. That's
Yes.
why your journey to self-discovery, you have to be the one that goes within and figure out why you're here and who you are. Because if you let somebody tell you who you are, you'll just take that and run with it. And I that's a common thing. A lot of people are feeling unfulfilled because they're being told who they are, what they should do, how they should go about it. And some people go against themselves. They've been going against themselves for so long. How I know because I was one of those people.
And
But
as
you're
well as
gonna
I.
when you get to a point where you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired and you're tired of asking, what's my purpose? What am I here for? You will walk into that unknown because it's like you can't plan your way. And if you think you just sitting here all the time like a lump on a log, like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's my purpose? Get out there, explore life, It's an
Right.
adventure. Know that you're here and don't take it so serious. Know
Absolutely.
that you're here to have a good time. Don't think that you're just here to just work, go to school, get good grades, make good money. It's much deeper than that. But you won't know it until you go on that discovery for yourself. It's a journey.
Yes.
And make your journey fun. Find out what lights you up, what makes you happy, and go towards those things because those things can lead you to other things which will help you to open up to parts of yourself that you didn't know about. And I can honestly say I'm enjoying my journey. It's been a journey because I look back and I remember those days where I was like, what is my purpose? Like I know I didn't come all the way this far in nursing school to drop out and working in the nursing home. Like it's got to be more to life than this. Like this can't be it because I'm not
Right.
enjoying it. What they
Right.
because I was going by what I was told to do. I
Yeah.
wasn't living I wasn't living for me. I was living for the world and what they said do. But once you start living for you and you go on that journey within, life is so much fulfilling. You're free. You're able to figure out what your interests are. You're able to connect to people and go through different things and different changes. I didn't even think I'd be a coach. I didn't know that my journey would lead me to being a life coach and also a life insurance professional. I would have never foreseen that until I stepped out into the unknown and just took a chance because you got to be able to step into the unknown. And it's
Absolutely.
okay to not know the answer. That's what makes life fun. Not knowing it all. It's the adventure. I love the adventure about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things you mentioned too about freedom, like that is ultimately all of our greatest desire, whether we're aware of it or not. We want to feel like we can do what we want to do when we want to do it, how we want to do it. And I don't mean that in any outlandish way, like the world would have you think. I mean,
Yeah.
if I don't feel good today and I just want to sleep in, it's okay. I could do it. If I get up today and I was supposed to go this way, but now I want to take a different route, like we can do it. And that's what life is about. That's what that adventure is, the freedom to
Mhm.
explore, the freedom to laugh, the freedom to try new things, and ultimately the freedom to be who you really are. And like you said, life, sometimes responsibilities, sometimes the people around us, they tell us what we're supposed to be doing and who we are. So for myself, I embarked on this journey at 39 years old, not knowing who I was. And it's like, who are you? I'm these kids' mother. Like that was all I had to say.
That's it.
So it's like really
She
God.
went back. Oh, there you are.
All right, really discovering who we are and acknowledging that it's okay. You were meant to be that person. You are this person because that's who you were meant to be. Enjoy it, love you. And coming from this place of such low self-worth, it's so amazing to me now to look in the mirror and I'm like, I love you. I think you're
Yes.
great. And not because I'm just saying that because it's some mantra, but like really liking what I see, loving the person that I'm discovering myself to be. It's like, wow, look what you're really made of. It's pretty cool.
Yes. It's such a beautiful journey. It is.
Yes.
Once you arrive here, and know that it's not a destination. It's not a
Yes.
destination. It's a journey. So you're gonna have those moments where you're just not feeling up to par, but you gotta embrace those moments as well, because those are moments where you can just take a time out. Because sometimes you need to honor yourself by giving yourself that time out. Because that's more self discovery. It's time for
Yes.
self reflection, for you to figure out what's working, what's not, to regroup and just get yourself back into alignment and know that just because you may be feeling down, it's not a negative thing. You'll have a
Absolutely.
whole new outlook on life. I'm telling you, your views, your perceptions, your beliefs, they will not be the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's extremely powerful. I mean, we could keep going and going and going. But,
We're gonna wrap it up.
we yes, exactly. As we wrap up today's episode, we want to thank everyone who was here and for joining us on this journey. Because again, we're all on this journey together. So remember, mindset is key to unlocking your true potential and transforming your life. The power is within you and it starts with your mind.
Yes, and whether you're just beginning your journey or you've been on this journey for years, there's always room for growth and discovery. So we encourage you to keep exploring, keep growing, and keep discovering that magic within. And together, let's uncover the magic within. This is the Discovery Within podcast. Y'all have a good one.
Peace.